Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice radio, so today I'm going to be showing you another one of the new Pokémon GX from the upcoming Sun and Moon collection. Now, a bunch of these have already been revealed. I have popped links to those bad boys in the description of this video, so go and check out all of them if you so wish. By which I mean go and check them out whether you want to or not. It will make me happy. Now, this goes back to the first few GXs, which of course were all basics. This one is basic as well. We're talking about Lapras. As a fun little side note, this means that so far we've seen GXs which are from Sun and Moon, that being Solgaleo and Lunala, Lurantis, Lycanroc, and then of course we've seen Snorlax from the original 151, and Lapras joins him as well. Now, this is a fairly straightforward GX Pokemon, so it's not going to take as much analysis as something like Lurantis would. Now, starting off with the basic facts, it's got 190 HP, which is directly in line with Snorlax GX, the only other basic for which we've been told the HP, so let's say that it appears like the basics are going to have 190 HP. Makes perfect sense. Grass type is pretty good because Volcanion is quite big at the moment. Now, I'm not saying Volcanion is the best deck ever, but I am saying that Volcanion is seeing an awful lot of play, and that there's a fair shout that it's going to continue to be good. So typing's pretty nice. The weakness, however, is not nice. Weakness to grass, we said this recently, it's bad. If for no other reason, of all the GXs I've looked at so far, Lurantis looks like the best, and oh my goodness, that's just going to run right through Lapras. The other thing, of course, is that Forest of Giant Plants is going to keep grass Pokemon more playable than average in the near future, for as long as it's legal for tournament play. So grass is maybe the worst weakness to have at the moment. It's certainly up there. So that's a bad start. But it's a basic, it's got decent HP. The question is, which attacks have we got? Now, weirdly here, I kind of like the attacks, except the GX attack. First attack, 1 water energy, draw 3 cards. You know what? I can get on board with this. You don't really want to be using a 2-prize Pokemon to set up. I know Shaman is a 2-prize Pokemon used to set up, but he's on the bench. You certainly don't want to leave a 2-prize Pokemon in the active, waiting to take a hit, when all you're doing is setting up. But if I've got absolutely nothing in my hand, and I'm going to sit there just drawing cards and passing, I quite like the idea of drawing 3 in one go. As a setup Pokemon, I love Lapras, and if it didn't give up 2 prizes, this would be an amazing setup Pokemon. But it does give up 2 prizes, so although I like the first attack, it's got its problems. Now, the second attack, 3 water energy, 160 damage. This follows on with Pokemon's route of let's do almost enough damage to get a one-hit KO, but not quite. We look at common Pokemon like Yveltal EX, 170 HP. Now, against Stage 2 Pokemon, they're going to be one-hit KO'd quite nicely. It's not going to be enough for EXs. But of course, remember that Lapras GX is a basic Pokemon, so fighting Fury Belt, at least for the time being until it gets rotated, is all up for grabs here, so you can be doing 170 while raising your HP to 230. And quite frankly, if you look at these Stage 1 GXs, Lurantis, 210 HP. Well, Lapras has 190. You add a Fighting Fury Bout, it goes up to 230. I would prefer this, to be honest. I quite like having basics at the moment, because now that Muscle Band's been rotated, the tools we have aren't spectacular. So I'm quite in favour of having a basic, because with Fighting Fury Bout, the HP goes up. Your attack goes up to 170. This is pretty good. Now, you can't attack during your next turn. Sounds bad. It's not as bad as you might think. We have 2 options here. Number 1, we use Zoroark. Zoroark jumps in, you pop a float stone on Zoroark, he retreats for free, and then you can just attack every turn. Sounds pretty good. The other option is you put a Float Stone on Lapras. Bit of a problem, of course, because then you lose the Fighting Fury bout. But you have 2 Laprases set up. Attack, retreat, and so on. This effect of the attack goes away when you go to the bench, so as long as you can get him to the bench, you're fine. I said 2 options, there is actually a third option, Pokémon Ranger. You can play Pokémon Ranger to take away the effect of your attack, and then you can attack next turn. Being a basic, you can also use Max Elixir to get the energy on there nice and quickly, and I'm okay with this. This is good. Now, it's not the most spectacular Pokemon ever, but you've got a good setup attack, and an attack that can do 170 with Fighting Fury Belt, or 180 if you play Giovanni's scheme. Like I've said, the not attacking next turn kind of sucks, but between Zoroark, Floatstone, and Pokemon Ranger, Lapras has got your back. And just as a side note about this second attack of Lapras, this is very, very similar to Volcanion EX's attack. Free energy, bunch of damage, you can't attack during the following turn. Now, Volcanion really has just been used because of his ability and because of Baby Volcanion, the non-EX, hey Nick, but actually, this shows how good Lapras is, because Volcanion does a full 30 damage less for his attack, and that's why Volcanion doesn't get used. So don't think, well, Volcanion doesn't get used, so Lapras won't. Volcanion starts at 130, Lapras starts at 160, and like we said, we can increase it. That's why Lapras is so much of a better attacker than Volcanion. And let's not forget, people do still use Volcanion EX as an attacker. A lot of utility here. It can set up, it can attack, it's a basic, I like it. The weird thing is, the GX attack, I really, really don't. It is, for my money, the worst GX attack we've seen so far. Most of the GX attacks, all except for Solgaleo, who just puts a bunch of energy in play, all these GX attacks have been one-hit KOs. Well, Lapras does 100 damage. Now, to be fair, it also has automatic paralysis. Automatic paralysis is fine, but for the same cost, you could be using Blizzard Burn to do 160, or as we've discussed, quite possibly more. So, okay, but 200, I mean, you would use this to hit something like a Mega Pokemon, so you'd have to use your GX attack and then use Blizzard Burn afterwards. I am not a fan of this. There are better GX attacks out there. In fact, I'm happy to say all the GX attacks out there are better. Now, there are GX attacks like Gumshoes, who relies on your Pokemon having a bunch of energy on them, but as I stated in that video, it's at least a deterrent. Don't like the GX attack. Automatic paralysis, what if your opponent plays a switch? If your opponent plays a switch, one of the oldest, most common cards we have, congratulations, you've just used your once-a-game GX attack, because you can only use one GX attack of any type per game, to do 100 damage. No, ladies and gentlemen, no. But I'm going to be honest, it's a basic Max Elixir and Fighting Fury bout. It's got high HP, it's got a good setup attack, and a good attack that can get one-hit KOs. The worst thing about Lapras is the weakness. The weakness really sucks. But if I can sit there doing 170 or 180, or I suppose with a Fighting Fury bout and a Giovanni's, 190 a turn, this is cool. I quite like Lapras. It's not amazing, it's no Lurantis, but I like Lapras, and I'm going to say that out loud. As a side note, how beautiful is the artwork on this card? So, I've kept up my side of doing a video on all the GX Pokemon revealed so far, so you know your job, ladies and gentlemen. Comment, like, subscribe, make sure you follow me on Twitter, @TheWassy, and look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.